everybody, this is Gabe Estel. Welcome to Rock and Roll Shin-Soo. I hope everybody's doing well in 2020. I'm here with my co-hosts Dennis Levi Leach and Jonathan Getz. How's it going, guys?
Amazing.
Good. Amazing.
Might be 2020, but looking back, it's still a bit fuzzy.
Yes. Amazing. I like that, Levi. Levi's going with the superlatives right in 2020. Not many things are amazing. You know, there's only like so much more further you can go, you know?
Yes.
Spider-Man's amazing. All right. But anyway, so good to see you guys. We're going to go ahead and keep counting down. This is, I think, our fourth episode into this musical buffet here that we've music and baseball buffet that we've got. We're counting down the 100 things we're most grateful for in rock and roll and baseball. We're in the 60s. We're having so much fun, we lost track of where we were. But thanks for taking the ride with us. I want to remind everybody before we get started, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at RockinChew. That's in, as in I might be talking about Neil Young later. And then also I want to tell everybody to like us on Facebook. And then also you can get every episode of Rock and Roll Shin-Soo at rockchew.com. However you listen to us, it would help us if you left a review. We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play Music, any of the podcasting apps that you use, or YouTube. You can find us there. So drop us a line, please. All right, let's go ahead and kick this pony show off here. I'm going to go ahead and start with something I'm grateful for, and I rarely do it anymore. Quite frankly, aside from my baseball game, actually, a baseball game is, I think, one of the areas, one of the kind of the two sort of hemispheres we deal in. Baseball is the area where maybe you might do this more, because I think walk-up tickets for baseball games are more common than walk-up tickets for concerts, probably. Is buying tickets in person. All right, I'm grateful for that. I admittedly, I don't do it that much anymore, but I really miss, and I'm fortunate and grateful that all of us got to grow up in a time where, at least when we first started going to concerts, and I guess baseball games as well, but that we were able to, go to a place and get a physical ticket. You had to put some care into it. You had to, for us, we grew up in a small town, so we had to drive about 25 miles. I have fond memories of going to the mall. There were ticket outlets in the back of Famous Bar and Bergner's.
Yeah, they were tough back there.
Right by the gift wrapping. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you guys remember, I'll keep it brief, but like Famous Bar or Bergner's, one of the two, or maybe it was Montgomery Ward's. I think they all had ticket booths. Quite frankly,
I only remember Bergner's, but yeah.
Yeah. They also had like a hair salon back there, and they had like a big furniture section. You could get keys made.
Yeah, the Macy's has that still.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, like the Macy's has that upstairs big furniture section, and you had to walk back through there to get back to where like the Ticketmaster area was.
Right, and for those of you who, just to give you a little bit of context, we're talking about Springfield, Illinois. So
yeah,
but yeah, this wasn't.
We're talking about these things that used to exist called shopping malls.
Yeah. But this wasn't uncommon. Like these big department stores had these other services inside of them, other than buying, hardware and clothes and perfume and all of that. You could also get tickets, and That was some of my earliest memories of getting tickets. And then also, as I mentioned, and we've talked about it on this show before, and I still say that we need to have him as a guest if he's still around. There was a record store in Springfield called Rick's, and a very, he was right out of Central Casting, guy that ran it that I never saw without sunglasses.
He's kind of like the Tommy Chong character on that 70s show.
Yeah, a little grumpy.
And he drove a hearse.
He drove a hearse, ran a record store, sold bootlegs that were like outrageously priced, right? Like
$60 for double disc at least.
Yeah, $60 for double disc, questionable quality with some of them.
DDRs, yeah.
Yeah. And he was right next to Penny Lane, which was kind of, they complemented each other because Penny Lane, was T-shirts and tie-dyes and incense, and it was a head shop upstairs. And Rick's was right next to it, looked like a little garage almost.
Right. Yeah.
And it was heady times, man. My fondest memory, and I'll pass it off to you guys there, was when I bought my Kiss ticket, the Kiss reunion tour. Rick was a big Kiss fan. He was a really big Kiss fan. And they had the machine in there because sometimes he sold tickets, other times I don't know if he did. I don't know if this was something that he did all the time, but for Kiss you had to go to Rick's, right? Mm-hmm. And this was 96, so there was so much buzz around Kiss coming back, and I was so excited. And I remember, man, there was a line probably like 50 deep at Rick's that day.
Wow.
And I paid $43.25 for the ticket, which in 1996 I thought was an ungodly amount of money. Yeah. And I had killer seats. I was in like the 13th row.
Nice.
Yeah, but I was like, whoa, dude. And like I was telling people how much I paid. They're like, oh my God, $43 for a concert ticket? You're crazy, And now like that's like 3 beers at a concert. So yeah, I miss that. I'm glad that all of us got to grow up experiencing that.
Yeah, he was a Metrotix dealer, right?
He was, yeah.
Right, yeah, which was St. Louis.
Like all the places in the mall were like Ticketmaster.
There you go.
And he was Metrotix.
He was he would sell some tickets to probably like Mississippi Nights and
right, yeah,
Theater and some of the St. Louis venues. Yeah. So yeah, I had fond memories of that place.
It's I remember the Bergners, and it's funny because when you're going to the mall to do that, like you said, it's right next to the ticket outlet is literally like behind the same counter as the gift wrap outlet.
Yeah,
and might be like the same employee.
Yeah,
and so
right.
You're desperate to get these tickets right when they go on sale, but the fate of your experience is in how quickly this employee can finish wrapping.
Yeah, like 65-year-old Gerald.
Median age
flight
is
over.
65, 70 at least. Yeah.
Try to find your ticket.
Right.
And you want these bows curled?
It was anarchy.
Shit, just wrap it. I need tickets.
Yeah. But that being said, one of my favorite and this just occurred to me, one of my favorite ticket buying experiences at a venue was the Hoyt Sherman Theater in Des Moines, Iowa, for Government Mule. And this was one of the first tours after Woody died, and it was the Hoyt Sherman Theater was this awesome kind of, I don't know, like Victorian house or something. And I went into the office, and it was just kind of these little old ladies. And this wasn't like right when tickets went on sale, so I was chill. And these little old ladies, and I said, excuse me, I wanted to get a couple tickets for Government Mule. And they're like, oh yeah, okay. And so they like go and get this really nice wooden box, and the tickets are in the wooden box, like already printed off. And I just like give them my money, and they put my money in the wooden box, and they close the box and they put it away. And so, yeah, those days are kind of gone. I went to a venue here in town a couple years ago to get tickets for a show that they were going to have. And they said, sorry, we don't sell the tickets here. Like, we can't sell you the tickets. You have to go online and get the tickets. You literally cannot buy the tickets at the venue,
right?
Which was kind of sad.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
I got to admit, I haven't. I'm not necessarily a loyalist to it, like ordering them and having them mailed to me. I do get just tickets emailed to me, and via an app. In some case, like you mentioned, for some shows, it's the only game in town. It's the only way you can do it. And then for others, it is, I do cherish when I do get the physical ticket. Most of the time with Fish, we do, because we mail order. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of been able to hold on to it a little bit there. But yeah, it's something that certainly I miss.
Yeah. I think it's going to become a lot more rare.
Yeah, it'll be a lot rarer. Also, most venues, I think, the ones that do still do it issue a physical ticket. The ticket office isn't going to be open unless there's a show. Mm-hmm. It used to be like when I first moved to Chicago in like 2003, I remember I rode my bike to the Vic to get Gomez tickets during, like just like on like a random afternoon, which like wouldn't happen today.
Yeah.
That was, and that's even kind of late for that to happen. That was in like 2003. But that certainly wouldn't happen today. That's like kind of like my last memory of sort of like just being like, oh, there's somebody working at the ticket window just on 2:00 in the afternoon. It's So
to that same end, I did go out to Kauffman Stadium, the Royals Kauffman Stadium, on the first day of ticket sales, which was fun. One year I did this like 15 years ago, maybe, and just to see that huge crowd out there around the stadium. I don't know, like maybe February. And just waiting to get tickets to any random game that season, and you could feel, spring was coming. And,
right.
That was a nice scene to be around, but I've only ever done that once.
Yeah, I mean, I get walk-ups because I root for the team in town that a lot of people don't root for, so I'm usually pretty safe with a walk-up. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's a good way now to skirt the fees. Right.
You can. Do you remember that time that we walked up to get tickets at Kauffman when we were going to a Royals game, and they actually talked us down into buying a cheaper ticket, and she's like, "Oh, just buy the cheapest ticket and go sit wherever."
Right.
Because we were debating, like, do we get the loge seat or do we get the dugout plaza? And she's like, just get the cheap one.
Keys to one of the private booths. Just like,
yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, definitely. So yeah. That was when your expectations are low, for the team that year, you've got some wiggle room there.
Oh yeah. The Royals were sucking at the time. Yeah, for sure.
Those are the Jeff Francoeur years, So.
if that.
Good stuff, guys. Next, I think I am next, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to talk about. We'll keep the baseball edge going here. One of the things I'm most grateful for growing up was the ability to go to card shops. And in our time, the three of us got to go to the main one in Springfield was B&J Coin Shop.
Right.
And then for a while, there was one in Petersburg that me and Gabe would sometimes go to. We would like walk downtown or ride our bikes to downtown Petersburg. Was it like in that little antique mall there, kind of like?
There were a couple. I mean, you had the one in the antique mall that you had mentioned, which had this really nasty carpet inside of it. I remember, because there was a restaurant in there as well, and the carpet had just soaked everything up over the years. It was disgusting. Like to the point where like you felt like you had to wash your shoes like after. It was really, really nasty. And then also there were Merles,
that's one of the ones.
Those were two. And then also there was another antique store that occasionally had cards too.
Right.
Chris Henderson sold some of his cards in there sometimes.
Do you remember also one time you and
Race is the antique store. Anyway, go ahead.
Gabe and I once got like your mom to give us a ride or or Aunt Francine or someone. We were looking, I think you were looking for the 90 Upper Deck Thomas where everybody thought he was like giving the finger sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
We found like a little tiny baseball card store like on Chatham Road.
Uh-huh.
And it was in like a little tiny like house type building.
Yes, dude. Yes.
And I remember that. And but like the B&J Coin Shop one, man, that was the place. Like anytime I had like free money to spend, I would usually try to save it up and go there. Because it was like a double whammy for me because I collected stamps too. So like they had baseball cards and stamps and coins and stuff. So it was Yeah. Do you remember any like classic BJ Coin Shop moments? No.
I was loyal to Merle's in Petersburg, and some summers like way too much. I was probably there every day for 2 months.
Oh yeah, same.
Like it was bad.
Same.
But it was fun, But yeah, I mean, otherwise, as far as epic moments go, no, not really. It was just kind of the same old, and my big acquisitions were calculated. Maybe go to a card show to find like a Clemens rookie that I was in search of, and
I went to a few card shows at the Holiday Inn East or West in Springfield.
You'd find those in the those ads in the newspaper, so you'd get all psyched about the show coming up.
Totally.
I can remember being honestly, I probably would have been like 7 or 8 years old. But we used to go down to St. Louis a lot, especially during the holidays, because they would have the big fancy malls down there, like Westport Plaza and all, when all these malls were like new and clean and fancy and everything.
Right.
We would do a lot of our holiday shopping there. We'd go down for like a weekend in November and stay the night. Well, in this one area of St. Louis, I think it was off of 67, there was this big mini mall area that had like a White Castle that my family always stopped at. It was like
didn't have them in Springfield.
And then
still don't.
Right by there was like a Big Lots that my mom always liked to go to, and then in that same mini mall was a hobby shop, like a baseball card store, and it was probably the first one I ever saw. Whereas B&J Coin Shop, it was like a baseball card store ran by your grandparents. Like everything was kind of like clean and tidy.
Yeah, it was a nice facility, definitely.
Like this place in St. Louis was like Bob the Slob ran it. And it was just like
upholding all of the stereotypes, like Simpsons comic book guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was just like stacks of boxes of old wax packs everywhere and just cases of 10-cent commons you could like spend like a week going through. Like there were so many loose cards everywhere. And so I can remember that it being like one of the first, like, whoa, like there could be a dark side to the hobby. Like you could become a hoarder very easily.
Who needs friends? I've got collectibles. Right.
Are there any card shops currently in Springfield?
There is still the Reader's World comic book store.
Yeah.
And I believe he does usually bring in a box or two of like hobby pack.
Okay.
It's like there's a hobby product and a retail product.
Mm-hmm.
So like the store has the ability to get hobby boxes, which have higher hits per box, which is more
guaranteed hits per box.
Yeah. And so as far as I know, that's the only one. And other than that, you have to go to like Walmart and Target to buy baseball cards.
Yeah. Which is like that's a pretty bad deal, isn't it? Because aren't there the dudes with the digital calipers going in there to measure the card packs to pull out all the ones?
You can weigh packs, but they've gotten smart enough to where they realize like they like insert now those blank cards that'll have like a security strip attached to it.
Okay.
Yeah. And so like they've kind of adjusted the weight some to where it used to be able to just like throw packs on a scale and it'd be like, oh, this pack's like 3 grams heavier than all the others. It's got to be something,
Yeah.
And
that
pack would have like a memorabilia card or an autograph card. Or whatever.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's a little bit harder, but I mean there's always going to be ways, it seems like.
Yeah. I mean in Chicago, if I see them, it's usually alongside comic books,
Mm-hmm.
There is here, I did look up, and he's over by Lincoln Square, and I think I've driven by it a few times and just kind of was like, oh, I'm going to go in there sometime. There is a place called Tim's Baseball Card Shop, and it's exclusively baseball cards.
Wow.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, which like even for a city the size of Chicago is a rarity. So I need to go in there and see him, man, or shit. Need to have him on the show. Hell, I don't know.
You guys need to come down to Kansas City. We have a place called the Baseball Card Store, I think it's called, and it's a combination of organization and kind of that mess you were talking about, Levi, where it's boxes of stuff. It's labeled though, but there are also boxes of starting lineups. that you can sift through, and you can find quite a bit. But if you ask, like, hey, I'm looking for, like this certain year and style, and then they got, you kind of got to like look around to find their big boxes of like 2016 tops or something, and then you can sift through the comments and find what you want. Although it's a lot of hunting and pecking, and I assume that they do a lot of their business on eBay, but it's interesting. The few times I've gone in there, there will be guys in there just like buying those hobby boxes, like you said, Levi, and just throwing down a bill on a hobby box,
right?
To find that hit, to find that memorabilia card, to immediately then like trade it in for more boxes.
Right. And, it's totally like it's almost like being addicted to scratch off tickets.
It's gambling. Yeah, it's gambling. Yeah, but I am always kind of sad when you go to Target and all of the packs, you can tell that they've been sifted through and they're just a mess, and it's because somebody's gone through every pack.
Oh yeah, you can tell. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So, but if that's your only option, then so it goes. All right. Yeah.
They always look well stocked when I go to Target. You know what I mean? Like they're not, they're not exactly flying off the shelves.
Yeah, and sometimes you find them. It's like the cards are like a year and a half old.
Oh yeah.
Right. Well, and sometimes you can find deals on that. Like there was like they'll put cards on clearance. Like the tops rep will come through. Like I just got some packs like 2 days ago of football. And then, granted, these were Donruss, not Tops, but they were from Walmart, and they had clearance stickers on them. And so Tops or Panini, I guess, is who Donruss is now. They came through and put clearance stickers on them. And so basically they went from like $5 packs to $3 packs.
Yeah.
Well, they were 2018 Donruss football, which has Lamar Jackson rookie cards in it. And so I ended up pulling 2 of them, and one of them was a short print. And so I put him on eBay yesterday, and then he lost the game. So, yeah, I probably won't even be able to sell him now.
No, he still did pretty well, though. Anyway.
But, yeah, like that's kind of the neat thing about sometimes if you go to a Walmart or Target is they will have clearance packs because, like you said, not as many people are into the hobby anymore.
Yeah, sure.
And, like, if you find, like, 2018 Tops update packs on clearance, those could have like Acuna junior rookie cards and stuff in them that are worth like hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Like if I would have pulled in those packs of Donruss, a Lamar Jackson, because it's the rated rookie. It's the Lamar Jackson rated rookie. So I pulled the regular one, then I pulled a blue border, like short print one. Well, there's also an autograph one. The autograph one is selling completed listings like $1,200 and up.
Woo,
and so, yeah, these were $3 packs of clearance cards.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. Keep your eyes peeled. Do your homework. Keep your eyes peeled. I guess that's Levi's suggestion. All right. Okay. So I'm next, and my next favorite thing about this is in the music category, was the Temple of the Dog reunion. This was back almost 10 years ago now, at PJ20, and which was the Pearl Jam's 20th anniversary show in Alpine Valley, Wisconsin. And it was a show with like a lot of bands on B stages. It was 2 nights. There were several headliners on the main stage at Alpine Valley. But, and it got me thinking about this reunion and like what made it so special. And it's like there aren't many bands like Pearl Jam with so much history at its roots. And, Pearl Jam sprung in part from the ashes of Mother Love Bone after lead singer Andy Wood died. And he was at the heart of the just about to burst Seattle scene in the late 80s. And so after he died, his good friend Chris Cornell conceived of Temple of the Dog as a tribute to Andy, and he teamed up with some remaining members of Mother Love Bone, and for one seminal track in particular, the heretofore unknown Eddie Vedder. And the album was released, I didn't realize this, Temple of the Dog was released several months before PJ's debut album 10. And though it didn't receive really much acclaim until after Pearl Jam took off, and it was in 1992 that it gained traction. But the album can act as kind of the Temple of the Dog album can act as this cathartic release of both the potential of Mother Love Bone and the grieving of that fallen brother and musician in the scene. And so when Pearl Jam references Temple of the Dog by covering Hunger Strike or Reach Down in concert, they're essentially, like, from a fan's perspective, considering to a degree what might have been, which is really strange if you think about it. And Eddie Vedder singing those songs can come off as like a supremely reverential second husband or wife paying homage to, like, the spouse that came before him. And it's such an unusual situation. This is a vibe that it's so rare to experience. It's a vibe that's been relished by hardcore fans ever since that 10th anniversary show, I think it was, in Las Vegas, when they performed Mother Love Bone's Crown of Thorns for the first time. So when Pearl Jam 20 was announced 10 years later after that, the rumors were swirling about the Temple of the Dog reunion. But usually rumors like that rarely live up to their billing. But at PJ 20, it totally delivered. So, from the acts on the B stages to the headliners and the special guests, Chris Cornell did arrive and sat in both nights with during Pearl Jam's main set. And on the first night, they did Mother Love Bone's Stardog Champion to begin, which is really out of nowhere from my perspective. Yeah. And then the Temple of the Dog songs were Sail Low to Heaven, Reach Down, Hunger Strike. And then on the second night, they also did Call Me a Dog, an all-night thing, in addition to a couple other Temple of the Dog songs from the night before. And the emotion of it was, like, so overwhelming, just between the excitement of hearing some of those songs live for the first time and to the individual sentiment that I personally carried with those songs. And it's really still hard to believe that it happened. And again, I just think it's one of the most unique situations in the history of rock to experience.
Yeah, no, you couldn't have said any of that better. Out of curiosity, what was the price for that ticket?
I went to one of those nights. I didn't get to go to both nights.
I don't know for sure. Probably around $80.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I'm guessing around $80.
Well, for those of us living in the Midwest, we're lucky it came to us. I mean, that easily I would have been like, oh, that's going to be in Seattle. I mean.
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder how they ended up picking Alpine Valley.
It's a good question. I think that they were definitely shooting for something in the middle of the country to have, both the coasts come to a little bit easier. So, our favoring one coast over the other. And then for some reason, it wasn't Chicago, maybe because they wanted an outdoor venue.
Alpine's bigger than any amphitheater in Chicago, too.
I wonder what capacity is at Alpine Valley. I mean, I know the Dead plays.
Is it 50 plus?
I think it's close. It can hold like close to 50,000. Yeah.
Yeah. 37,000.
Okay. That's still pretty big.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of people.
Oh yeah, it's a ton of people.
Yeah, and that lawn is so huge and steep.
It is. Oh yeah, that'll be one of the things I'll never forget. I learned that at Furtherfest 2000.
We were on the lawn the first night, and that crowd got moving, and you were just caught up in a wave, and you just kind of had to move your feet with it. You have to shuffle your feet.
Oh yeah.
While it was moving during the heavier songs, and there was nothing you could do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember we were in the lawn, and we were standing for so long that my calves hurt because, like, the incline of the hill.
Yeah, it's a tough angle. Yeah. So yeah, I doubt they're going to do a PJ 30, but there's certainly rumors of a new album coming up.
That's making me feel old. That's here like in like a year, right? Yeah. There's some buzz around. Looks like the little activity on the Instagram pages and all that. So yeah. So
yep.
Cool. Well, is it okay if I jump ahead for a second? Like, I'm going to switch around the order of a couple of mine.
You can put them in whatever order you want.
I guess I can. Yes, right. I hope. Yes, right. Our listeners are just in an uproar right now. But anyway, Jonathan was talking about the Midwest and PJ show not going to Chicago, going to Alpine. I'm grateful for Illinois artists, right? And I put in parentheses here beyond the Chicago blues, because I think that kind of goes without saying, that people like Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters, and Buddy Guy, their contributions to popular music are eternal, and certainly I love I think I've discussed this on the show before. Like, I like what the blues inspired more than I like the blues itself. Like, I like the rock music that it spawned. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm grateful that, thank God, Muddy Waters was around, and Howlin' Wolf, but like, I have to admit, I'm always not like putting on like Muddy Waters records. Just giving some context here. But so, like, if you guys had to pick like your top 3 musical acts from Illinois, and we'll exclude the blues, right? Because all those guys I said are more important than anybody I'm going to list after them, even if I listen to the bands that I'm going to list later more. I'll start. Wilco is kind of a slam dunk for first for me. Mm-hmm. So that one was pretty easy. After Wilco, it gets a little bit trickier. I'm going to go with Cheap Trick in the 2 slot. And then for the 3 slot, I'm just going to go with their importance to me, and I'll say Steepwater. Even though, God, I don't know if they count, because they're from Northwest Indiana. Sticks. Yeah. So I'll go with Wilco, Cheap Trick, and Sticks. Who do you guys got?
From
our home state.
You're springing this on us as I'm frantically scrolling through the Illinois rock and roll Wikipedia page.
Well, I was going to say, one of mine would be Uncle Tupelo out of Belleville.
Right. There's Wilco, born out of the ashes of Uncle Tupelo. So
yes. It's tough. Maybe REO Speedwagon.
Yes, I would. They're an honorable mention for me.
And then we'll do Head East out of was it Mount Pulaski?
Oh, are they from Mount Pulaski? I thought they were from St. Louis.
No,
Okay.
Head East is like Pekin, Peoria, Mount Pulaski is where most of that.
Okay.
Because the first record they recorded it in Pekin, and it's on like a little label out of there.
Oh, nice. Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, the Schlitt brothers were from, I believe, Mount Pulaski.
Yeah, I forgot about Star Castle from Champaign as well. But anyway, go on. Guess.
Okay, so yeah, I'll number 1 is definitely Wilco, without a doubt. And I would probably also put Uncle Tupelo in there. Sorry for the repetition here. And then lastly, I didn't realize this, but I'm confirming it by visiting her Wikipedia page. Alison Krauss is from Decatur, Illinois.
Yes, good one.
And
good call.
rooted in Champaign. So
yeah.
Alison Krauss, yeah, absolutely. Oh. I'm a Alison Krauss admirer for sure.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are gonna throw the Smashing Pumpkins in there, and
I almost did for the lack of finding Alison Krauss, but yeah.
Yeah, right.
Alison Krauss, I'm going to make a declaration. She was like the country Norah Jones before there was a Norah Jones.
I like it.
Do you know what comparison? I mean? Yeah.
Like the adult contemporary light country thing going on.
She made it accessible, and she was kind of a crossover artist for me when I first heard her in high school. And when I was listening to nothing like that, and then I heard it, and I had to own some of it. And she made country and bluegrass very accessible for me.
Well, yeah,
you know where I first heard her was on Hoist, on Fish's album. She
right.
She sings on "If I Could, I Would." Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
She does, yeah, and it didn't hurt that like her entire band, Union Station, is all like phenomenal musicians either.
Oh
yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, like Liz Phair, really important too. You know, I'm not as familiar with her catalog. You know, I like her kind of seminal works. You know, but it's I don't listen to her enough to. She's no Styx, damn it. Just kidding. Just kidding. But
a lot of appreciation for John Prine as well.
Yeah, right. I forgot about Prine. I'll throw a couple under the radar picks. You guys know Mason Prophet, right?
Oh yeah.
Two Hangman. Yeah,
hanging from a tree.
Yeah, they're Chicago.
Yeah. Mavis Staples.
Mavis Staples. There you go. God, yeah. Riley Walker, who I like a lot, is from Rockford.
Yes, he is.
Very good. You know, a great instrumental heavy band from Chicago, Pelican.
Curtis Mayfield.
Yes, God, yeah. So yeah, the list goes on, and I mentioned my favorite. You know, I mean, we can argue until the cows come home about who's the best. But yeah, man, shit, I'll throw Kanye in there. I know he's crazy, but hell, he's ours.
Yay! You know?
Yeah. I like his first like 4 or 5 records. I you know, so he probably gets a little more attention than he deserves, but he's part of the story. So yeah, and
we'd be remiss to not mention Miles Davis, I guess, as well.
Oh fuck, yeah, right.
East St. Louis, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Well, isn't he from Alton?
Yeah, says Alton on his
record. God, yeah. I didn't mention Miles Davis. What the fuck, Gabe? Yeah. So yeah,
you could almost put him though with the blues guys as like he's like too big
right. I mean, I'm talking like I've listened to Wilco, Cheap Trick, and Styx more than I've listened to any of those other people.
Yep.
You know? So that's kind of what I have to go off of.
Yep.
You know? Right on. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, Illinois artist.
Very nice. I'm going to talk a little bit next about an album that came out in 1994 that I got, and it seemed like everyone else did. But you guys may not remember it. It was a band called the Tractors.
Oh yeah.
And they came out with their debut record in 1994, and it was by the leader of the band is a guy named Steve Ripley, who's originally from Oklahoma, and he's actually given credit as being the guy who coined the term red dirt when talking about Oklahoma music.
Oh yeah.
And so Steve Ripley had been like kind of in bands and stuff and all around music, and then started building guitars as well. And so he built guitars for like Steve Lukather, J.J. Cale, John Hyatt, Ry Cooder, Eddie Van Halen, like some like pretty famous people, obviously. And then so in 1994, he put together this band, and it was kind of like him and these other studio guys or guys that were like touring musicians. And they called themselves the Tractors, and they came out with their debut record. And in 1994, it broke the record for the fastest selling debut album to ever go to the fastest to go platinum by a group.
No kidding.
Yeah. And so the band, him and the other 4 members of the band, like their credits included they had played with like Bob Dylan, Clapton, Bonnie Raitt, Linda Ronstadt, Leonard Cohen, Bob Seger, just like a who's who of so these guys are all really talented musicians as well. And so 2 of the big singles off of it, the first was a song called Baby Likes to Rock It. I don't know if you remember it, but the chorus was Baby likes to rock it like a boogie
woogie choo-choo train. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then they have another song called Trying to Get to New Orleans. And so what was neat about it for me was coming from the Midwest in Illinois and listening to country at that time, which would have been like Garth Brooks and like Alan Jackson and Clint
Randy
Black.
Travis.
Like the standard bread and butter country people of the time. it was so refreshing to see these guys come out. And their sound was like laid back, kind of like a little bit of a J.J. Cale meets New Orleans vibe to their sound. And didn't look like rock stars by any means. It's like a bunch of old guys playing in a band, basically, if you watch the videos.
Yeah.
And it was super refreshing at that time to be able to have something different. And then it was also refreshing to see that it became popular so fast. Yeah. Like everybody caught on to it really quickly. Yeah. And then after this debut record, they did have a few more albums, one of which was a Christmas record that I highly recommend. Like you can sometimes find it in clearance bins, but it's the Tractors Christmas album. It's excellent. But so yeah, do you guys remember them at all?
I do. My mom had their first 2 CDs.
Yeah.
Which I'd assume are their most popular. And I kind of had the same reaction, Levi. Like, yeah, I that was a period like would have been like around 93, 94 or so.
Yeah.
Okay, and like I thought country sucked then. You know what I mean? Yeah, like if you would have asked me my opinion of country music, I'd be like, oh, that shit's for the birds, you know. And yeah, I remember not hating it, you know? And then I listened to it again a few years later when I was in college, when I started, you know, mainly because of Graham Parsons, started listening to more country music because Chris Robinson said Graham Parsons was cool. That's why I started listening to Graham Parsons, in all honesty. You know, and I heard them again. And like, I remember popping in the CD again, you know, like I was like, oh, like, well, I looked through my mom's CDs, like, oh, I'm going to take this. And I remember popping it into my car and liking it, you know, appreciating it even more about, you know, 5 or 6 years later. So, yeah, fond memories of that one, too. It's a good, really good record, too.
I have never listened to it, and I'm looking forward to listening to it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, and what's funny is now when I go back and listen to it, it comes off as a lot more of like a dad rock record. Just like it's just kind of got that vibe where it's like easy listening. You can just kind of zone out, do some work to it or whatever.
Oh, what a crying shame! Yeah,
like the Mavericks.
Yeah. Oh, that's the Mavericks, isn't it?
That is.
Right.
No, same era. And that was another good band that showed like country didn't have to be put into that box that they were trying to put like Clint Black and Garth Brooks and all those people in.
Another act in that vein too that I think we've talked about on the show that I would throw in there was the Kentucky Headhunters too.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember not hating them either when I first heard them, and I really like. Well, shit, I love it. Yeah, their first record a lot, Picking on Nashville. So yeah, those were kind of the bright spots in a pretty grim era of country music, kind of like around the time that a lot of it started to suck. So
right.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So my next option, I'm gonna switch up my list a little bit here so we can touch on some more baseball now. And one of my the favorite memories was one of my first memories about really caring about sports, about being emotionally invested in sports. And I was 10 years old, and the 1990 Red Sox were trying to clinch the American League East, and they were up against the Chicago White Sox, the final series of the season. And the Toronto Blue Jays were nipping at the heels of the Red Sox in the divisional race. And so the Red Sox were I think it was the first game of this 3-game series with the White Sox had a chance to clinch, and there was Tom Bernansky was playing right field, and there was a ball, kind of a blooper hit to right field, and in the bottom of the ninth, and with 2 outs, and Bernansky is running towards it, lumbering towards it, really. And if you can visualize Fenway Park, you know how it's very angular. Fenway Park is, and there's weird turns in the walls. And this being 1990, there was like 2 camera angles, and he's running for the ball, and he slides feet first to go catch it, and he kind of slides out of view of the camera, and the crowd erupts as if he caught it for the final out. And I remember there being a moment there as I'm sitting there as a 10-year-old and I'm, on the edge of my seat of, this is like the first time I've, followed a pennant race, and, sports is about more than just like looking at the box scores. And now it's like I'm really emotionally invested, and they won, the announcers say, "Oh, I guess they won." There's no replay, and I was so unsure, and it was hard to believe. And it's like, is that it? Like, can they overturn this call? No, they can't overturn this call. And it's hard to believe that it's actually happened. They clinched the division. They're going to go to the playoffs. But there was all this mystery surrounding that final play, and so it was it was that paired with this. It was a gateway to yearning for similar moments occurring for all of my favorite teams in each sport every year. And I just wanted that feeling again and again. And, that feeling of, I find it interesting that feeling of unbelievability never really goes away. That hasn't really happened, when the Red Sox finally did win the World Series in 2004. When the Royals won the World Series in 2015, it happens. You watch it happen, and it's going to happen. And it's still like hard. It's still hard to register and feel a guttural emotion in the moment. So I guess that we're always chasing that dragon, and when it happens, you might underreact in a way as we get older. I think only the Chicago Bears could make me show real emotion if they won a championship. I've seen my baseball teams do it. I don't really care about basketball enough. I've seen my hockey teams do it. And I think that the last frontier would be the Bears winning the Super Bowl and getting to even come close to matching that emotion of the 1990 American League East clinching game and Tom Bernansky's catch. And so, Levi, I had a question.
Who hit the ball again to him?
Who hit the ball? It was I'm playing the YouTube video here.
Somebody on the White Sox.
Yeah, it was somebody on the White Sox.
Lance Johnson, maybe. Robin Ventura, Scott Fletcher. I'm trying to go to the whole '90 team here. Thomas was playing.
Gosh, that wasn't. See, Jeff Reardon was on the mound. Poor Jeff Reardon. And trying to figure out what number that guy is. Gosh, that's not was Ozzie Guillen 13?
Yeah, he was. Yep.
It was Ozzie Guillen.
He would have been playing. Yeah,
so, it was Ozzie Guillen pulling one down that right field line. But so, guys, when the White Sox won the World Series, Gabe and Levi won the Cubs World Series, that moment when the final out occurred and you won, like, what was your initial reaction? Was it audible or was it just
I think I've touched on this in other episodes, but mine was complete silence. Because I was watching by myself at this point, because it was, as they say, it may go down as one of the greatest Game 7s of all time, but I think I lost about 13 years of my life that game. So it was shock and awe, really. It was just like, I can't believe it happened. Like I've been waiting my whole life for this. It's been the 100 years. The curse, it was, and then I'm just sitting there in the dark with the light of the TV, just me. Like, I can't believe it actually happened.
Soaking it in.
Yeah. Gosh, mine is much different, man. It was interesting circumstances. I had to teach that night, right? So I had an evening class, and there's only so many when you're teaching. There's only so many days you can take off. I mean, it doesn't always work out. And my class ran until like 9:45. Okay, at night, p.m.
Ooh. Yeah. So that's like the sixth inning at least.
Yeah. So like I didn't have a smartphone. And I don't think we were even in the computer lab that night. So I was just kind of like, fuck, I wonder what the hell's going on, And I got out of class, and the college where I was teaching at the time was right over by the apartment that I had shared with my now wife, but my wife and I broke up for about 9 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I was living in a nearby neighborhood. So I just called her and I was like, listen, you know, like, I need to come over. All right. Like I got to watch this game. And she's like, yeah, it's cool. You know, come on over. You know, so fortunately, like, the dude she was seeing at the time wasn't there, you know, so, right. But, yeah, it's, and my wife will be happy to hear this and, you know, say how stupid I was for breaking up with her for 9 months, you know. We got back together now. You hear that, honey? But yeah, so I just ended up going over to her place, you know. I was like, I got to go somewhere, you know, like we were still talking, you know. I mean, it wasn't like it was totally shut down, but, you know, we weren't together, you know. I was living somewhere else.
That's wild.
Yeah, so like I was like, I got to come up, you know. I got to come over, you know. This is going on right now, and so I caught about probably the last 2 innings at her house.
Wow.
And then, you know, I cried, you know, when it happened. I did shed tears.
Yeah. And that show of emotion won her back.
Yeah, right. And we got back together about a month later. So yeah. And then I was calling people. You know, I think I called Jonathan probably.
I think I remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
I called I called Whitehurst. People were calling me, you know. People I went to college with, people. It felt good. I mean, like, in, you know, there aren't a lot of White Sox fans in Petersburg. I don't know any others other than my family, quite frankly. And so, yeah, people were calling me too, you know, so it was nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You were their token White Sox fan.
Yeah.
So I only had to make one call.
Yeah. I think the first person I called was my grandma.
Nice.
You know, I called her. Nice. That was important. Yeah. So, you know, I probably talked to a dozen people that night over the phone, you know, different folks. Nice. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that final game, it was a 4-game sweep, right?
Yeah,
And that final game was 1-0. The White Sox scored in the top of the 8th.
Yeah,
because the game was in Houston, and it was it was the most manufactured run you can have. Let's see, top of the 7th, put runners on 2nd and 3rd. Let's see, Uribe struck out, and then against Bradledge in the 8th, Will Harris pinch hit single, Scotty Pods. Podsetnik advanced him on a sacrifice bunt. Yeah. And then Carl T-Rex Everett. Right. Pinch hit for Iguchi and grounded out to the right side to move Harris to 3rd. And then Jermaine Dye, the MVP of the World Series, had the game-winning single, driving in Harris. That was the only run of the final game.
It was good too. Willie Harris was a good role player. He wasn't getting a lot of action, so I was glad they got him in. Because when Iguchi came up, he lost his starting job essentially. So yeah. I liked him off the bench. He was versatile too. You could put him about anywhere. So yeah, good stuff, man.
Bobby Jinks closed it out, right?
Yep. Big boy. Yep.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Oh, good one.
Yeah. Okay, am I next?
Yeah. We're at the 53-minute mark right now. So if you want to do one more round,
let's do one more round. All right. Gosh, let's see here. Okay, yeah, I'll go with this one because I think it's relatively short. I don't have to like someone's music to like them. I know that's not like a revelatory thought, you know, but as I get older, I appreciate the people that make it. So I've got a list of musicians whose music doesn't really do much for me, but I think they seem like cool people, and I'd like to party with all of them or hang out with them. All right. And I'm not talking about Kid Rock or anything like that. All right. So I'll list my people here, and maybe you guys have people that are similar. Like their music doesn't do much for you. I appreciate certain. That isn't to say like they don't have songs that I don't enjoy, or that but I've never owned any of their albums, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Dave Grohl, right, for one, and I'll say this since I have owned Nirvana records, but let's talk about his post Nirvana career, right? I've always found the Foo Fighters a little overproduced and a little slick for me.
A little anthemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can appreciate some tunes on the first record, you know.
For All the Cows. I only needed For All the Cows. That was all I needed.
Yeah, This Is a Call is a good opening number. I'll give them that, you know. But yeah, since then I've never really gotten into it, and it's always been, like Jonathan said, a little anthemic and little just I don't know, just a little overproduced. But I like him as a dude. I'm totally about, you know. I mean, he seems like an ambassador for classic rock. He's a good. I'd love to party with him, or to shoot the shit. Jimmy Buffett, right? Like, I mean, the dude's got it figured out. I'm sorry, you know. Like, I wouldn't go see him in concert, and I don't really even. I have to admit, like, I do like some of his stuff before he became like the Jimmy Buffett we know today. You know, this big touring juggernaut that plays, you know, amphitheaters and arenas and stadiums. I can get into like the mustachioed, you know, mid 70s Jimmy Buffett.
The weed runner, driving the seaplane.
Yeah, totally. But I as a dude, I think I definitely salute him. Dave Matthews, you know, is always like a guy whose heart's in the right place. I just can't stand his music, you know. Mm-hmm. Garth Brooks, I like as a dude. I think he seems like a really good person. And I don't think he's like a guy that like killed country music, like he gets credit, like sometimes he gets blamed for. I'd blame that on Kenny Chesney if I had to pinpoint somebody. But yeah, I like him a lot. I mean, he's charitable, you know, like he was kind of like an advocate for LGBTQ rights before it became in vogue to do that, particularly in country music.
Oh yeah.
You know, he does a lot of charity. Like he just, I think he seems like a really good dude. You know, I always in interviews, I think he comes off as really genuine. He's a big Kiss fan, you know. But no, I wouldn't want to. You know, I never listened to his music. You know, other than maybe my mom had the cassette, you know, of Fresh Horses or whatever it was. Another one, Corey Taylor of Slipknot. I like him a lot. I think he's always like a really good interview. He's all about classic rock. I saw Slipknot live, and I have to admit I have not listened to one Slipknot song since I've seen Slipknot live. But seeing them live, and I went to go see other bands. It was part of a festival. It made me appreciate what they do. I don't think they're slackers by any means. Those guys were busting their asses the night I saw them. And I can't get into it really. And it just the guttural vocals don't do it for me, but I like him as a dude. If you ever read an interview with him, he seems really genuine. He's funny, you know, like he seems really good. And then another one, Celine Dion. Like another music, her music doesn't do her, but she's funny. Like, she's a really good Instagram follow.
She can make fun of herself, can't she?
Definitely. She can make fun of herself. I just find her really, really charming. And so those are like I've got a list.
She's Gabe's Helen Mirren, huh?
Yeah, right. So, yeah. So yeah, those are some folks like I'm really glad they're all around. Another one, he's not with us anymore. I'll add one more if I can. The guy from Linkin Park, Chester Bennington. Obviously, this ended on a tragic note. But I always thought, even though I can't stomach Linkin Park's music really at all, he always seemed like a really genuine dude, you know, and
sure.
Seemed obviously, you know, had a lot of demons, and the world is a hard place to live, no matter who you are. So yeah, I always liked him as well. He seemed like a genuine fragile guy, and appreciated him, even if I didn't dig the music.
Yeah.
So
good stuff. I'm gonna switch it over to baseball again.
All right.
Real quick for my last one. And what I was going to talk about specifically was wax pack wrappers. And
the rappers specifically.
Yeah, I'm thankful that we grew up in a day and age where we got to enjoy wax packs.
Mm-hmm.
We were on the last cusp of it because I think by like 91 tops, they had switched to like that cello plastic type of a wrap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Score had that. Yeah.
Like just the whole, you could go back probably from like the early 70s throughout to about 85 is when they started to make the packs kind of look the same but have a different color. But, like 85, 86, 87, 88 tops, like the packs kind of all look similar. Mm-hmm. But up until that point, it was just like awesome little, almost like pop art images on each pack every year. Mm-hmm. Done in that comic book style of like dot matrix type printing. And I still remember like carefully opening wax packs, and then I would like flatten out the wrappers and keep them. And like, it was just, and then by the late 80s, once like Fleer and Score came out, they were in like cheap, flimsy plastic like packages,
right?
Open from the top packages.
Yeah, and the whole wax pack thing was gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It vanished. Mm-hmm. And so, granted, they weren't for security purposes the best thing, because guys could like, open the packs and then iron them back shut.
Yeah.
But
piece of gum that would break your teeth as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's almost like a whole Warhol pop artness to them.
Yeah, you're right.
Especially if you pull up on a website and you can see all the years together, like all the packs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were just really cool. And, I remember when I was getting out of it, like packs had changed so much that I remember I got a pack of these cards called Fleer Flares. And I want to say this would have been like 93 or 4, somewhere around there.
Right when it was all starting to end, really.
And by this point, it wasn't even a wax pack. It was a little cardboard box, and the top of it like slid off, and the cards were inside a just clear cellophane inside this box.
Ah, that's too much.
Yeah, and so it was like, you lose the whole, just the ripping the wax packs type of a thing, Old
baseball cards got too big for their britches there, Levi.
They did, buddy. They did.
I remember it was about 6 or 7 years ago, I ordered a couple T-shirts from Topps website, and they were these retro T-shirts, both baseball and football, and they came in a package that was just like the wax packs you're talking about, Levi, where like you unwrapped the pack that the T-shirt was in, and awesome. and I did just what you said. You unwrap it and like you flatten it all out, so it's like one just one flat piece. And it's funny how that was like almost like a fidget. You would have the pack and you'd just be sitting there. You do it absentmindedly. You would open it and you'd flatten it out and just like uncrease the corners with your fingernail and flatten it out. Yeah.
If I get another 100 of these, I can get the Sports Take Along card carrier or whatever it was they were trying to hawk on every pack. Or like remember the cards? It was like you're only getting so many cards in a pack as it is, and then you get one of those filler cards where it's like, you may win or whatever. You're like,
the scratch-offs?
Well, that, or I just remember also, like, there was a card, it seemed like you got in Topps packs for years, that, like, had a picture of a baseball, and it was, like, some contest or something.
Oh, yeah.
It was just, like, pack filler. You're like, goddamn. You're like...
Yeah, filler. Waste my time with this.
Yeah. That's all It's the only thing worse than a checklist,
Right.
Jeez.
Right. No, that's a good one. I like that detail, Levi. Real quick, Gabe, to touch upon your last topic. I think I would say Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'd hang with Justin Timberlake, but I appreciate his music, but I'm fairly indifferent to it.
There we go. Because I think he does have some good tunes too. You know, so maybe that's why I didn't include him. But good call. I would put him in that category as well.
Yeah,
definitely.
So I guess then to close out our show for tonight, my last, ironically, my next item of favorite things about rock and roll specifically is the first song of a concert. And so there are multiple variables that can spice this up and keep you guessing. And this is assuming you haven't checked the set list beforehand, but. So the lights go down, and there's that moment the lights go down, and the crowd erupts. And some bands will have like an intro tune, and some bands will just come out to pure silence. I don't know what you prefer. Some bands will come out and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And then they'll bust into the first song, and some bands will just they'll play the first notes. Some bands won't even all come out at the same time, right? Like it'll just be like one member of the band, and then the next member comes out, and the next member, and the song slowly builds, and then finally like the lead singer is shown on the spotlight. And then there's also this variable of it being, is it going to be a fast song or a slow song? And so as a result, I have the myriad favorite openers from my concert going experience. Some notable ones like Government Mule's their cover of John the Revelator is one of my favorites. It almost starts out a cappella. Which is very powerful in my opinion. And it's a slow burn, and you know that like it's gonna, the show's gonna kick into gear, during the next song likely. Pearl Jam, I think most fans consider Release to be like their favorite opener. I enjoy it as an opener, and very much so, but I might prefer Long Road as an opener.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I've seen Tom Petty open with Jammin' Me, which surprised me. I didn't remember that. I thought that was a good tune to open with. And then, but one of my favorite might be the aforementioned Wilco opening with Spider's Kid Smoke, which is one of my favorites. Nice. One of my favorite songs of theirs. And it's if you aren't familiar with it, it's a slow burn song, and very angular and abstract, but it builds into something that's just so intense that it's almost overwhelming, especially to begin a show. And those are some of my favorites. I wonder if you guys had any favorites off the top of your head, and specifically Levi. What's this like as a sound guy? You running sound at a concert. In your experience, that first song.
If it's a band you've never ran before, it's like the first song is chaos usually, because you're like, if you didn't have a sound check, or sometimes even if you did have a sound check, the shit can change. You know what I mean? RF frequencies can change, because a lot of times nowadays everything's wireless mics, and so like, typically the first song you're like dialing stuff in still as a sound guy, so you're like not even hardly paying attention to the musicianship of anything. You're just you're so focused in on trying to dial in the sound of it all. But as an audience member, it's like the Bible. There's the BC and AD. Like before I was a stagehand, my concert experiences were totally different.
Sure.
Like, you know what I mean? Nowadays, it's a lot harder for me to appreciate a concert just because I'm caught up in the whole production of it all. But I would say one of my favorite openers might have been when I saw Oysterhead. And I mean, they played their whole album live basically, because they only had one album. They didn't have a ton of material to tour on.
They're getting back together, doing some dates this summer. Anyway, go ahead though.
No, that's cool to know. But they're the first song off the record is called Little Faces, and so it's a great opening number. It kind of gets you just into that vibe to where you're going to be funking along for the next hour or hour and a half, however long the show was.
Nice.
Right. And then I'm trying to think,
As a sound guy, do you prefer a quieter song or a louder song to open to be able to get dialed in?
Honestly, I think I would rather have the louder, just that way you can set all your peaks and stuff right off the bat. And to me, it's easier to dial down and get more of that like intimate acoustic sound. It's easier to dial that in than to like, because you know when it's a fast song and everybody's playing at full speed and everyone's got their pedals all on and the drummer's going and you know what I mean. I think it's better to first right off the bat because then you can set levels on everything basically.
Mm-hmm.
But then. But yeah, I know I've done it though on other bands where it's like, you know, I'm gonna creep in on noodling on this little guitar part for the first couple minutes, and then this person's gonna kind of like come in slightly. So you're like trying to mix everybody in, and it's like, well, I'm only hearing like two people playing right now, so you know, and so then it's like when's the rest of the band gonna start playing? And so then like everybody kind of eases into it, and then you can get everything set.
Wow. All right.
Right.
That sounds hard.
To do. yeah. That's really.
Yeah, I mean,
putting some science into it there.
Yeah. I mean, you always want to try to have a sound check if you can. And granted, like, you know, big touring acts, they typically always have a sound check. Sure. Or they've done so much, like those big touring acts do tech weeks where like they'll practice the whole tour, the whole show, the whole production for a week or two straight at a venue. They'll rent a venue
right,
and just practice the production.
Yeah. Is it customary for acts to say, if there is a sound check, to say this is going to be our first song, just so you know?
Typically, like road acts will travel with their own audio crew now.
Sure.
So those guys, you know, yeah, they talk with them and, you know, they'll be like, here's their set list or whatever. When you're not dealing with people that have their own sound men, yeah, it can, sometimes they're nice and they'll tell you what they're starting with, or like the best is when like you'll get stuff going and they'll be like, oh, I have all these tracks I gotta play with too.
Oh, yeah.
So like, you know, like whatever, drum tracks or whatever, horn parts or whatever. But it's like, so then you're like concentrating on having to like play these parts at the time when they want, you know, I mean, you're having to coordinate when they want these tracks played and everything. And so that can be a headache.
All right. Yeah. Gabe, you got a favorite opener?
Yeah, I think I mentioned the show earlier in this episode, but when I saw Kiss in '96, I was in the 13th row, but it was to the side. It was lower bowl, 13th row. And they've got the big black curtain that, you know, they drop when Deuce plays. Deuce has been a common opener with Kiss over the years, particularly back in the 70s. And I saw them, I could see behind the curtain before it dropped, right? Just to where I was, you know, where my seat was.
Cool.
And I kind of almost, and God, you know, it was just like seeing comic book heroes. I kind of almost like saw them get into character, you know? So that was really cool. And obviously seeing Deuce, but even the run up to it, just for those, you know, 15 seconds or so that I saw them kind of, you know, transform into Kiss, was really special.
That's pretty unique.
Yeah. That one comes out, you know, I have to look at some set lists, man, honestly. Sure. Otherwise,
I mean, I would say we've all three, at least at one time, seen a pretty good No Speak, No Slave opener, right?
Sure.
I mean,
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, the Crows used to open with that a lot, and I mean,
back
that
in
was
like
always,
'92, and so
that was always a burner, you know.
Oh God, yeah.
You'd be like, you know, it's going to be a good show when they bust that out.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, good stuff, guys.
All right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, remind everybody again. Yeah, check out rockchew.com for all of our previous episodes and fun-related items. And then follow us on the Instagram and the Twitter. And also, you can like us on Facebook and listen to us a lot of different ways. YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Google Play.
And that was
Spreaker.
Rockchew.com, as in baby likes to rock it like a boogie woogie
choo-choo train. There you go. Yes. There you go. I was waiting for the right one, and you got it. So, it happened recently, so I'll just say it. Maybe this will be for a future episode, but rest in peace, Neil Peart. Big loss to the music world earlier this week. So hats off to that guy and thoughts with his friends and family and fans. So R.I.P. Neil. Anyway, until next time, we'll see everybody soon. Take care.
Good night.
Peace.